Live. Hello, everyone. Good morning. We'll just wait for a few more people to join in the next few minutes. Let them trickle in and out. But yeah, comment. Hello, Jerome. Comment where you are joining us from today. We'd love to know. We'd love to know where everyone sat at this morning. I'm in the UK at the moment. Leah, where are you?
I'm in Copenhagen.
Copenhagen.
Yes.
The best. Oh, Jerome has come from Brussels. Hello. Anyone else joining from? Oh, more from Belgium, a rainy Belgium.
Oh, damn. Weather report from Copenhagen. It's sunny here. For
Sunny.
once.
Okay.
Who would
It's
have thought?
in the UK. It's sunny for once, actually. For once. Oh, joining from Ireland. Raven's joining from Ireland. Awesome. I think we have a pretty international crew here today from, as we said,
Nice.
Ireland, Belgium, I think a few from the Nordics as well, and then a few from the UK too. So, hello and good morning to everyone. Let's get started.
Yes.
Awesome. So, we have a really exciting one today for you all. We're going to spend the next 30 to 40 minutes going inside a campaign that I really do think is one of the better examples of influencer marketing done right through a collaboration that I've seen in a while. But first, I just want to introduce myself. I'm Alicia, field lead and marketing manager at the UK from CoSquare. And I'm joined today by Leah. Do you want to introduce yourself, Leah?
Yes. Yeah. So I'm Leah, and I'm the social media specialist in Flying Tiger Copenhagen at our HQ. We also have local markets, so I'm based in Copenhagen at our HQ.
Awesome. Welcome. Just an FYI here, just so we know, the session is recorded. The replay will land in your inbox and we'll do a follow-up email within 24 hours with everything referenced here today. And the chat is open for questions, emojis, use them for support, show some love on there, use them freely. But yeah, now that the admin's done, let's get into it. So let's start with about Flying Tiger Copenhagen. Leah, for anyone who doesn't know Flying Tiger Copenhagen, can you give us a quick picture of the brand and why influencer marketing sits inside your strategy?
Yeah, of course. So Flying Tiger Copenhagen is quite big and international Danish variety retailer, and it was founded in Copenhagen way back at this point in 1995. We are based in Copenhagen, but we are widely across both Europe, but also Asia, and we have just opened in Canada as well. So we're quite out there. And I think for us, influencer and influencer marketing is a huge part of our strategy. All the way from the get-go when we start a new campaign. For us, influencers really create a relevance and a connection to the brand, and we really use them to drive in both our existing customers but also new customers. So we really try to find diverse and different kinds of influencers for all campaigns and not just settle on one type, because we really want to get we have a lot of products for all kinds of people. So we really just want to kind of embrace that and show up, and we really want influencers to help us kind of shape how our brand is experienced in everyday settings for the ordinary person, right? We're about trying to make the everyday a little bit extraordinary. So that's really what we're trying to push through influencers, to actually showcase that, because that can be hard for us as the brand to do. We like to do it with influencers that is a bit more authentic. It creates a bit more credibility to us as well. So we use it as kind of a paid word of mouth, I guess.
You're nice.
Yeah.
I feel like, paid word of mouth is exactly what it feels like, right? Word of mouth, and that's the goal. And I think it's harder than it sounds, but it brings us to this campaign, which I'm super excited to go into. So Flying Tiger times RuPaul's Drag Race. So when I first heard about this collab from yourselves, my immediate reaction was, that makes complete sense. But I'm curious to how it started, right? What was the actual brief going into this?
So we really wanted to create a Flying Tiger extravaganza. We really wanted to move into trying collabs. It's new for us to do collabs like this, at least on a marketing side of it. So we really just wanted to go out with a big ambition, and we really wanted to create some kind of brand awareness around ourselves. I mean, we are a retailer. Our end goal will always be sales. That's the business, but we wanted to drive the sales through the brand awareness with this collab. So we really wanted to play around with our values in Flying Tiger. So some of the things that we value a lot and we like put as our brand values are inclusivity and diversity. And through this collab, we really wanted to target both the fans of the RuPaul's Drag Race, but also newcomers. So we wanted to go quite big and just really go in hardcore, double down on our values.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
love that. That's where the authenticity lies, right? And I do think the newcomer audience is an interesting strategic choice here too. I think a lot of brands doing collabs like this go all in on maybe a core fan community and kind of just leave it there, right? But you design both from the start, which is super interesting here. And then yeah, we'll come back to why that mattered soon. But first, let's jump into why RuPaul's Drag Race specifically.
Yes. So for those of you who know RuPaul's Drag Race, it's bold, it's loud, it's about creativity, freedom, self-expression, and all of this. And that's really what we want to be in Flying Tiger, right? We want our products to be quirky. We want them to be products you didn't know existed. We're not afraid of bringing poop games or anything other kind of random stuff that just kind of brings a smile. And that's really what drag is about as well, right?
Yeah.
So for us, it wasn't like a campaign. It was a quite natural fit, I guess, as we share the same values.
Yeah, definitely. And I think a big one for us to sit with here is like it's a campaign like beyond Pride season, right? I think
Exactly.
there's a version of this collab maybe with another brand or whatever that's only in June during Pride Month, where you know there's a rainbow range and all of that. But you genuinely did something different here and built a general and genuine cultural statement that
Yeah.
happens to also sell product, which is what you. It's the ultimate kind of ecosystem, really.
Really. And I think maybe also, important to add to this is that it was important for us that it was not during Pride period, because
Yeah, yeah, right.
we've always done Pride stuff, and we will always
Mm,
have some kind of like rainbows and flags and stuff in our stores. And then during Pride months, of course, we have a higher volume of that. We
mm,
wanted this to also just show that we show up for this community
yeah,
all year round. Like we,
yeah,
of course, put a higher pressure on it during the relevant seasons, but it's not that for us. It's really like a core value for us.
yeah.
Um,
It really shows as well in activity. So yeah, it's awesome to see. Yeah, next. So the strategy. Do you wanna walk us through how you actually built this?
Yeah, so I think maybe first, to tap into the influencer part of all of it,
Yeah.
we got this handover to marketing, and the very first thing we did was to find an erection, a Danish drag queen, and sign a contract with her for content. We really wanted to bring in a drag queen as kind of it's what started as like a content creator or influencer kind of turned into an ambassador really quickly because she came on board as the very first thing we did.
Right.
And I think for us that was because despite us being big fans of RuPaul's Drag Race and watching it and going to drag bingos and whatnot, we are not in in tune with that community on a daily basis. So what is happening in the drag community? What are they talking about? What do they care about? All of these kind of essential things. I don't know that on a daily basis because that's not where I am daily. So we really wanted to bring in a drag queen that has like this touch point on a daily basis, and that's kind of when we started to work with Annie already from the get go to shape the full campaign together with her.
Wow.
Really, yeah,
That's awesome.
and yeah, and I think we then kind of from there moved into trying to look at how this campaign should shape out, right? So we wanted to look at, we built the strategy from 4 phases. So we had a pre-teasing phase, a teasing phase, a launch and a post-launch.
Mm.
Within the first 3, we had a very high volume of drag queens, and we really wanted to emphasize like self-expression, bold, colorful, creative, whereas the post-launch was more on a general level that was more to the everyday person at home. How can you introduce these products without being a fan? So what we call the newcomers would really come into the picture here. But the first 3 for us was the hardcore brand awareness track. We pre-teased, it was only for those who know. So we did some graphics that had the phrases from the show. So if you know, you know, right? You knew something with RuPaul's Drag Race was coming.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. And then we kind of moved into teasing, where we announced the collab but didn't show products. We launched, and then we did the post-launch to be wide. And this was spread across like the full media mix. It was all of our channels, from email to our customer club to socials, website. We even did a drag quiz on our website. So we really tried to go all out.
Yeah, keep it engaging as well. So you really spoke their language, right, from the beginning, kind of speaking to the community. And I think the ambassador decision, having Annie from the beginning essentially, is a really smart structural call. Just having her there from day one, early stage, and not just involve her in the execution part. I think that's it's part of that like narrative building and narrative coherence right throughout it all. So I think that's a huge takeaway here in what you produced, for sure. Essentially having like an insider in the room with you, which is awesome.
And she helped from everything, like the quiz on the website. She helped. It was a quiz. You took the quiz, and then you would find out what kind of drag queen you were, and she was the one that kind of connected the products to the person you were. And we really let her have creative freedom in terms of content and all of that. So we really just tried to shape the campaign around her. And you can also see on the picture here that she was also the person on our website. If you were buying the products, you would see her. So
awesome.
She was
So
really
it's just congruent in all of it, and you really feel it, right? Really, really cool. So in terms of creator selection, so Annie was the anchor, right? We've established, but you also needed to kind of build out the wider creator mix across the markets. How did you approach that initially?
So we, as we work from HQ and we have local markets, Annie's content was all no language, no nothing, because it needed to be internationally fitting for all countries, adaptable. We also wanted to have a part of the campaign that was local, that resonated directly with the different local markets that we have. So we gave our local markets the big 4 of our big markets. So that would be Spain, France, Italy, and UK. All of them who also have RuPaul's Drag Race franchise or had it.
Okay.
And we briefed them that we really wanted them to find some influencers or creators. So first priority from us was drag queens. We wanted drag queens from the franchise. We wanted to make it big, and we wanted to make it bold, and we wanted to show that we know this, like we are in this game with you. And we really wanted to find comedy or camp queens, as that just taps into that Flying Tiger spice, right? The quirkiness, that sense of it. And then priority 2, if budgets didn't last for enough or whatnot, that would be creators that are openly a part of the LGBTQI plus community. We really wanted to, put the money into the community we're showing up for. It didn't make sense for us to go out and make a big campaign with, anyone who was not from the community, because this was about celebrating that, right? So that would have been completely off for us. And then, they started looking at contestants from the show, looking at Cold Square to see kind of, okay, but how do these drag queens then perform, right? What is their credibility score? We wanted a high credibility score, as this full campaign was about brand awareness. So if we went with a low credibility score, that could also hurt that part of it for us. And then we of course looked at engagement rate. We really wanted good engagement. We wanted people who comment. We wanted communities that show up. And of course we looked at locations, as this was local campaigns. So we really wanted to make sure that the drag queens that we decided to work with were locals and not international ones. Annie is international, fit perfectly for the global scope.
Yeah.
For France, we wanted someone that would hit the French audience.
Yeah, it's genius, really, like the way you kind of approach the selection and how it would hit all of these markets, globally and locally at the same time. And yeah, I love that you use Cold Square as the validation step. Yeah, good example of how yeah, a tool can actually come in into practice. And yeah, I assume you said that before reaching out, you kind of use this for your local teams, right, to activate, to see where you needed to activate.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's awesome. Next, we have my favorite part, the content mix over here. So yeah, we talked about the creators, the brief, the strategy, and kind of beyond the creator selection, you ran 4 content formats, I believe, and ran them across paid, social, newsletter, ecom, and your app. That's a lot of moving parts, right? How did you keep it all coherent, basically?
Yeah. So maybe as you can see on the second video, there's like this gradient pattern on the packaging.
Yeah.
That pattern, if you look at the first video now, you see that same color pattern, the gradient coming. That was one of the big ones for us because we knew all packaging would have this. So we really tried to somehow include it across. So that pattern would really, you can also see it's the fan that has been chosen in the video. We really wanted that pattern to be for this collab. And we also used it across some of our still pictures. We used it on our in-store folios and everything. Also on our website, you would see that on the banner for this. So yeah, we really, that was like a big one for us, was the pattern.
Okay.
Yeah, and then we worked with 4 different kinds of content. We used influencers, ambassador, content creators, and I'm losing the last one. Content creators, influencers, ambassador, and then our own content that we created, which would be the second video in this one. That was more so just showing the products in use in everyday life for the everyday person.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. I loved that. So diverse yet in line and cohesive with one thread, which was the design, right? Which is pretty cool.
It all starts there.
Yeah, it all works. It all works. And yeah, let's get to the numbers as well. So few pieces of numbers, really strong across the board, right? But before we kind of get into what those numbers mean, let's talk about how you actually connected the dots, because this is impressive as it is now, and the number speaks for itself. Did you want to say something about this, or?
I think for us, what was maybe the most important metric on this one, and that is usually what is the most important for us as a social team, at least, is our mentions. So our dedicated mentions, our UGC content, people seeing our stuff being so good that they want to talk about it, right? That's really the biggest flatter that we can get, but that's also where the word of mouth come in, and that's where the credibility and authenticity comes in. So everything we kind of do, we try to turn towards other people should make some kind of content towards it, right? Not that we do any call to action on it or anything, but that's like, we see if we turn up volume of stuff, we turn up mentions. So those are kind of what we're trying to measure right now, and it seems like those 2 numbers are correlating.
Okay.
We really want to have a high volume on our channels and across influencers and content creators, and spread ourselves quite widely, because then we see more mentions coming in, and that's also often where we see the rest of the numbers. So the engagement rate, for example, growing.
As the volume grows. No, that's awesome. To be able to incentivize people to create their own content is a challenge, and job well done on this. But yeah, I kind of wanted to move towards kind of measurement and things like that here. So I put here, a lot of brands will still struggle to connect different dots and pieces, right? And I think the thing that struck out to me most about this one is that you didn't use promo codes. And I feel like this is the most common attribution kind of shortcut, right? So what did you track instead? I'm curious.
Yeah, of course. So, well, we tracked several different things, and this campaign was hard to track, right? Because it was placed, I think, around week 15, which was peak Easter weeks last year, and it was the week right after Easter this year. So, if you just look at like plain numbers, it's not going to be that impressive, right? Because Easter is like a peak shopping
Yeah, yeah.
season. But if you look down to the numbers, then you could really start seeing that we really did lift something with this campaign. Within the first 24 hours, we managed to sell out on our ecom. This was mainly driven by people who went on Notify Me, so people who signed up beforehand, coming from our newsletters, or we had QR codes you could scan in the store, or club, or yeah, social media, anywhere really you could be let into signing up to the products. So a lot of this, like the big stuff, sold out within the first 24 hours.
Wow.
We also saw that we exceeded the sales forecast from day one, which was also really nice. That's something for us to track. That, I mean, one thing is people organically being in the store and then buying the products, but when you can see you're really exceeding that forecast, right? That something has been moved, and that something is quite likely going to be the marketing in any case. I mean, in any kind. And we can still to this day see that one of the top searches being RuPaul's Drag Race on our website, or lipstick lamp, or disco ball, which were the two like most, let's say, viral products or most popular products. So we really saw that. We also had our customer club app where you could scan and get some different things out of that, and that's like been one of the best performing for our club as well. So we really saw that across all of our channels, we have just really, really performed, and that comes into the results from ecom and sales forecast, especially. And then
Yeah.
of mentions.
Sorry. Yeah. Go ahead. I'm just amazed.
I just want to, and that of course also comes to the mentions that I said before, right? That we want people to mention us, and then if we do a good enough marketing, people will notice. People will go into store, they will shoot their own content with their stuff, and that's also one of the metrics that we look at, right?
Yeah, there's so much on there. So like obviously selling out the collection, like the hero products within 24 hours, amazing. It's a hard signal, right?
Yeah.
I think that doesn't happen when I guess without significant demand being generated somewhere else first, right? Like you said, with the notify me stuff and the through emails and things. And yeah, RuPaul's still trending on site 5 weeks post launch tells you something about like the longevity of the awareness you've built. So it wasn't like one spike. It probably will affect kind of your awareness moving on, right, from this point.
Hopefully.
Yeah, hope fingers crossed. Yeah, fingers crossed. Awesome, thank you. I guess moving us to the next point as well is the community effect, right? So did you feel that the RuPaul Drag Race fan base, did you feel their love coming through in the results? Is what I'm trying to ask here.
Definitely. Yeah, from the get-go, we had a bunch of comments coming in, but what was, I think, the most noticeable for us was that we had a lot of drag queens across all of our local markets coming into the comment section, something that we did not anticipate happening, but something that really put us on the map, right? That you have so many drag queens from the show in our comments, both before we launched, being super excited to see what the products were, and then after we launched, like, oh my god, I need the fan, because it's like whatever it was for them. But like we really saw them coming in, and then we of course had all of the fans that would write the iconic phrases from the show and all of that. So that was really fun to see.
Yeah.
We really got a lot of love, and we got a lot of DMs from drag queens as well that asked to collaborate with us, or if they could just go into store and film, if they were okay, like if we would be okay with that, but without any payment or anything, which is not something we would have ever asked in this context.
Yeah.
So for us, that really just showed that there was maybe also just like a need for this to be seen and heard, and yeah.
Yeah, there was a demand and you fulfilled it for sure. And yeah, I just want to pinpoint here the average sentiment analysis score. So just to give some context to the viewers here on what this means, CoSquare has a sentiment analysis that works across Instagram, posts and reels, YouTube and TikTok as well. So every comment, excluding replies to keep the data clean, it gets scored across 3 buckets. So negative is 0 to 34, neutral is 35 to 64, positive is 65 to 100. And at campaign level, you get weighted across all of these averages in your average content. So having 75 is solidly positive here. But yeah, again, the value isn't the headline kind of number. It's being able to see which specific places, pieces of content kind of skews towards positive, negative, and understanding why and adjusting is super important there too. And as you said, with a community as vocal as RuPaul's Drag Race, and their fans, that kind of granularity really matters, right? When you're looking at the score here.
I'm pretty sure they would have told us if they were not happy.
Yeah, they're a very vocal fan base. Very vocal fan base.
Would
So
have turned on us quite fast, I think so as
yeah.
well, if we didn't do it right.
Totally. Awesome.
Yeah.
Reflections. If you ran this campaign again tomorrow, what would you do differently?
I think one of the big things for us, as I said before, we were big with influencers in France, Spain, Italy, and UK.
Yeah.
We definitely could have added more. We wanted even more active countries. We would have loved to, I would love for another time at least to also bring in the Nordics and also bring in, I mean, Poland. We were kind of like, what is the sentiment going to be, right? We had a very positive turnout there. Maybe we should have gone even more into the smaller markets when it comes to the drag culture, in terms of them not necessarily having franchises in all of the countries. We also really wanted to go more in on micro influencers and just really just spreading out the seeds, or whatever you want to call it, quite widely, both in terms of local markets, but also just in terms of amount and volume. And it's also when we activate the local markets, that's really where we see the impact, right? Because that's when we can be, we all know that content creators and influencers, they work the best when they can speak and they can be themselves and they can say weird stuff and be weird and be amazing, right? And with us not having that in many of our countries, I think we definitely lost some authenticity, because we went live with the content that we had from Annie that was also authentic in a different way, with expressions and that, right? But we could have definitely benefited way more. And I think this taps into this, making the ambassador and influencer content even less branded. Right now, everything we did with Annie was from our store, which already from the get-go makes it quite branded.
Yeah.
I'd love to be more authentic. And I know, like, we have some B-roll stuff from Annie where she's, interacting with the lipstick lamp in a very funny way, or like, being a bit, not too much, because it can never be too much in drag, right? But a bit too much in what a classic brand could do. And I wish we had kind of just run with that instead of taking it out, because I think that could have really been like, not just us tapping into RuPaul, but also just us surprising and saying, okay, we really don't care about being too much and too loud right now.
Yeah, right.
A little bit wanted to go even more extravaganza, and then just more generic content that really performed well. It resonated so well with the newcomers, and we saw on paid that it is such a niche, right? So for paid, it didn't perform as expected or as hoped, maybe, because it just was a bit too niche for the very broad audience that we reached out to. So having more generic content put in that mix, I think could have done something good for the paid performance.
Okay. I like that you said even more extravaganza. I think that's a brief. That's definitely a brief I would sign off every time. Every time. Love extravaganza. Awesome. Thanks for your reflections. So I have a few things here that I think we can all take away from the discussion here and from the previous slides. So Three things to worth noting down. So niche doesn't mean exclusive, right? I think we've learned a community first campaign can still welcome newcomers. It doesn't have to be designed that way from the start and not retrofitted at the end. Secondly, if you can't explain the collaboration in a sentence, it's probably not the right one. The internet and the audience and everything will figure that out faster than yourselves as brands. And then lastly, build with and not for, right? So bringing the community into strategy early, an ambassador who kind of helps from point A to point B to point C and keeps the narrative honest throughout. I think that's what made this work overall. Would you like to add anything to this, Leia?
No, I think you said it very well. I think all of these were definitely, these are the things that we're gonna look for if we do another collaboration at one point. These are the three main things that we're gonna look into: why, how, with who. Kind of, that's gonna be the full one for us, and that's when I think we're gonna succeed again.
Yeah, definitely have the framework for sure. Awesome. I'm gonna open it up to Q&A with people in the chat. Please write away, and we'll pick a few to answer. If anyone has any questions. There's one from Raven here. She asks, was it hard to convince the board of the concept of working with drag queens? What tips do you have for recommending partnerships that may not be in a brand's direct niche? Great question.
Very good question. I think the board for us, no, because that was just like, as soon as this collaboration was established, that was the natural way to go for us. Like, that was no other way to really do a drag race without drag queens. That would have fallen flat. I think we're really lucky in Flying Tiger that this really fit into our niche, and this really fit into, again, our values.
Yeah.
And we are really big on that, both on like a day-to-day basis, but also when we talk about content and we talk about all of this. I think maybe, let me just look at the question again. So what tips do I have for recommending partnerships that may not be in a brand's direct niche is figure out why you then do, I guess, that partnership. What is it that connects you, and really focus on that and emphasize that and go all in on that. I think there was many ways for us to go into RuPaul's Drag Race, and we definitely went for what fit the most natural to us, which was, again, focusing on camp and comedy queens and going that direction. So narrowing it down and seeing exactly where you fit, and just go only that direction, and don't care about your brand too much.
Yeah.
If it's a collaboration, it's a collaboration. You should be equals. You should both be seen in it.
Yeah, I think that's really interesting, because I guess the conversation with the board becomes a lot easier when you kind of stop framing it as like a cultural choice and start framing it as like an audience community strategy. Which I think you've Flying Tiger Copenhagen, obviously the community skews towards like the creative, the playful, the expressive, right? And drag queens are kind of personifications of those values professionally, so it worked really well. So yeah, I guess the fit isn't surprising when you kind of frame it that way. So maybe it's a framing thing too.
I think so. I mean, we even had Annie come do a drag bingo at our Christmas party. So I think we really just went all in as much as we could to include the full brand and make it. We had a lot of presentations as we went, to just kind of like, I had to show all content prepared like several times to several people to just, make them comfortable in the way we were going. It wouldn't be too extravagant. As I said, I wanted to go more extravagant right now. First time, we kind of eased into it. We left out everything that could be a bit too outrageous,
right?
And they kind of eased into it and just had them like, we really made sure to include and inform everyone as we went. Had a lot of meetings, a lot of presentations, had Annie come by to present for the Christmas, so everyone could understand what it was about.
Awesome. Okay. So it's would you say like you started with the audience first? Like, was it like, hey, here's the audience segment we're targeting, and here's the profiles that kind of over index with these audience, that kind of thing?
Yeah, I think so. And I think that's for us what made it strong was that we had both the hardcore fan base and we also had the newcomers. So that
Yeah.
made probably, I would imagine, made some of the more boardy people in the house more comfortable with it, because we also made sure to include everyone who weren't a fan, and we didn't. I think something kind of interesting that we did was we categorized the phrases from the show. We had like kind of a list that was approved we could use, and then we categorized them into two different ones. We had consumer facing and fan facing, and we shared that with all local markets. So we arranged them like these phrases that are iconic from the show. Everyone can understand, even if you haven't seen the show. But
Ah,
if you can see,
okay.
so for example, you have libraries open. If we use that, that is super weird if you don't know the show. That's like, what
Yeah,
library?
it's out of
Why do I
context.
say library? What is library? So
Yeah.
we refrained from using those, and we went with the consumer facing. And if we used like the fan facing ones, we made sure to kind of explain it to make everyone welcome. I think that also
Oh.
gets into that maybe.
Yeah, I think so. It goes down to the semantics as well, doesn't it? Like really understanding kind of, yeah, semantic behavior and what newcomers and fans would actually understand and not understand, and still making sure the newcomers still feel involved, right? I think, and not excluded is super super smart. Yeah, that's really cool. Other questions. Let's do one more. How did the local market teams manage the brief differently across countries? Was there any challenges you had to face locally?
I think there's always for us going to be the budget.
Yeah.
So for this one, everyone that we work with on local markets, they got the same budgets.
Mm,
Prices are not the same across Europe. That's just plain out. Like you have markets as France that comes in much more expensive often than Italy for some reason. And that just really gives us two different campaigns. We had a lot of influencers and content creators in France, and then we had one in no in Italy, and then we had one in France. So that
mm,
already there becomes like their choice in France needed to be so specific and so well fitting because we only had that one chance. So
right.
for us, that was really like we went with Big Berta, for those who know, in France that is like very camp and very comedy and has
Mm,
like the just like the everything that we kind of needed. Where in Italy we did a lot of different, and we kind of spread it out to also go into fashion
mm,
influencer or like fashion LGBTQI plus influencers in kind of different ways. So we had to scale it a lot compared to the countries that we work with, and some markets are more open to extravaganza than others. So we really looked into each market and saw like where can we turn up and where should we turn ourselves down a bit. Um,
Okay, so you had a little lever of extravaganza, lever, extravaganza machine. Turn it up or
yes, little button.
yeah, that's really cool because I think culturally as well, it's so like okay, there's the drag race culture, but then also like like cultures within Europe, right? And how perceptive they are to those extravaganza, I guess. So it's interesting how many small details you kind of took into account in making sure it would fit locally, plus globally as well. So super cool. But yeah, that brings us to the end of the Q&A and the end of our webinar, sadly. Um,
Yes.
Leah, I just wanted to say thank you so much for being here today, for being so open about the strategy. I think we can all take a thing or two from this and really use it to our advantage. So thank you for sharing. Thank you for joining today. And thank you for everyone who joined as well this morning. A little one from me. So we'll have a follow-up email coming soon with this replay. And then if you want to talk to someone at CoSquare about your own influencer strategy, please give us a shout in the email. Leah, do you want to say goodbye?
Yes, thank you for coming and thank you for having me. And
Yes.
always feel free to reach out if you have any questions or if you just want to chat about something.
Awesome. Thank you so much. All right, everyone, have a good day. We'll speak soon. Bye.
Bye.
Bye bye.